Heaven doesn't use the weak, it uses the wounded, the broken, the ones who should have given up but didn't. 2 Timothy 2:3, endure hardship as a good soldier of Christ. So I stopped asking God for easy battles and started asking for stronger armor. Isaiah 41:10, do not fear, for I am with you. I face nights darker than death itself, but I never walked alone. I heard the roar of the lion beside me. Ephesians 6:13, put on the full armor of God. I don't wear this armor for show. I wear it because hell doesn't sleep, and neither do I. Romans 8:31, if God is for us, who can be against us? I've been mocked, betrayed, left behind, but I learned rejection is redirection, straight into destiny.
You don't have to be some kind of crazy prepper in order to possess the skills needed to stay alive outside in case of an emergency. In fact, that's like the bare minimum that every man in America should be pursuing, is to just simply be able to stay alive in case all of this comes to an end. Because all of this is an absolute miracle. All of our civilization and society as we know it is an absolute miracle. And it could all come crumbling at any moment. The way that mankind lived for thousands of years before the last 100 is exactly what I'm referring to. It's nothing crazy, nothing out of the ordinary. It's only out of the ordinary for first world dwellers like us, who have been living in the shade of the trees planted by our grandfathers. And it's been 100 years, and now we're at a point where you're looked at like a crazy prepper for even having the skills or equipment to do any of this crap. So we're gonna take it light. We're just gonna talk about rucking in the snow, and I'm gonna show you how you can survive it, and it's really not that bad. And it's even funner in the middle of spring and summer when it's not freezing at night and when you've got friends to do it with. So let's get right into it. I'm gonna show you some of the gear that I like to run, and then we're gonna go do a mile in the woods, camp overnight, wake up in the morning, do a mile back. So the first thing I've got here is the Agilite chest rig. Overall, I'm not a big Agilite guy, but I am a fan of their chest rig. I've got the S-Tac Deodon placard on it. This right here is the mounting system for my Juggernaut case on my phone. Then I've got an extra mag carrier that I've stuck a radio into, which is not good to go, so don't do that. I was just being lazy. This right here is the Agilite 6-pack dangler. I've got it fully decked out with med kit, and got a tourniquet on the bottom, a little glow stick underneath. But it's super simple, and I run the crap out of it, and I'm a fan. Running some Oakley snow goggles. These really come in handy because when you first wake up and it's totally bright with snow outside, you're like blind from it. So these things really help with your eyes adjusting and staying warm too. It kind of adds a little shell around your eyes. And next up, we've got the battle belt. This is a Cry Precision MRB with an LRB inner belt. And I've got the Safari Land QLS forks set up with the thigh strap and a Glock 19. I'll just show you the Glock setup while we're at it. Got a RMR and a Surefire X300. Super unique. You'll never see another Glock 19 set up like that. Next, we've got the Flatline Fiber Company PIMP, personal individual medical pouch. Got a little IFAK there. And then I've got my tourniquet in a fully enclosed carrier, mounted upside down so that I can still access it if I've got my Ruck on my back or plate carrier or whatever. Another 5.56 mag, and then 3 extra Glock mags. And I like this style of carrier because they're not gonna fall out. If you lose a pistol mag in the snow, it drops straight to the bottom, and then you just better hope that you didn't accidentally cover it when you were walking by, because otherwise you can be digging for them. Been there. So I've had this for a few years, this whole belt setup. I've also got the Flatline Fiber Company mini dump pouch. Rolls up nice and tight right under the 5.56 carrier. And yeah, I've been running this setup for several years, and no complaints whatsoever. It's nice and comfortable. It works with an inner belt, or I can just wrap it around me and cinch it down. and I can put it right over a jacket if I want to, anything. Big fan of Cry Precision, of course. And then next up, I've got the Redemption Tactical thermal jacket. This thing is sweet. It's got all the extra pockets you could ever imagine. These are pockets here and here. That way when you've got your chest rig on, you can still reach a lot of stuff. You know, places to stash stuff. And a cool feature about this jacket is this inner liner here. This jacket has a rather impressive thermal footprint compared to the price. I think they're like $100. Super warm. Right now I'm wearing a Carhartt Mammoth. This is Carhartt's heaviest duty, coldest rated jacket that they offer. And you know, it's exactly like wearing this. I can wear either of these jackets, and this one's actually a little bit more lower profile. It's not as puffy as this Carhartt, but they both keep me equally warm. And yeah, Redemption Tactical did a great job on it. The type of fabric it's made with is NIR rated, so you're not gonna light up like a traffic cone under night vision. And that's gonna be pretty important. Even just this black hoodie I have on under here, it lights up bright white under night vision with infrared assistance. So this Redemption Tactical jacket, definitely good to go. Big fan of that, been running it for a long time. So now let's get into the rucksack. This right here is just a military surplus rucksack. You can get them on eBay, they're available everywhere. They make them in M81 Woodland as well. I've also got one of those. But these are gonna be just the most practical in my opinion. You can go with the retro Alice packs and stuff like that, and they totally work. But I'm a fan of these Molly 2 Philby rucks. So let's get into what's inside. So this is a Molly 2 framed rucksack. You can see it's got this frame that kind of contours to your back. It's got this strap that goes around your lower abdomen area, and that helps transfer the weight more to your hips than your shoulders. I'm at 37 pounds as it sits right here. It's nothing too crazy. It's pretty bearable. And I've done miles and miles and miles of rucking with this little rucksack here. So let's start on the outside. Up front, I've got just a foxhole shovel, right? You can get these at surplus stores, and they fold up. You screw them together, and you can clear yourself a good sleeping area. That's what I use it for, mostly. Also making fire pits and stuff. And then coming over here, this is a med kit, and I've got like a real one inside. This is like Rhino Rescue, so it's not real high quality. Packing gauze, a little splint. It's got a little bit more than what I carry in my IFAC, and I've also got water purification tablets in here for when I'm in the woods. But it's nothing too crazy. If you go to a medical class, that's pretty much what they're gonna show you in their medical kits and what they're gonna recommend having out there, and if you're in the woods. The only thing to add to that would be a few more tourniquets. Moving on, I keep a S-wing hatchet right here. The hatchet's definitely gonna come in handy. Sourcing firewood is gonna be a huge thing, and this makes it super easy, so remember that. Moving on to this side, I've got my sustainment kit here. And this thing, I tried out for the first time last night, and I was pretty happy with you know, how it did, and you know, how I did with it, I should say. But so this right here is gonna have your water bottle in there, and then a cup you can put coffee in, and then you can cook out of this one. And it's still pretty frozen together. Yeah, this little setup works great, nice and simple, and it all consolidates into this low profile pouch that just goes on the outside of the rucksack, so it's not in the way and taking up too much space. But pretty big fan of this one. I've gone through like 6 or 7 different, like, you know, little kits like this. This is probably my favorite so far. So we'll see how it holds up long term. That's how I'll really answer that question. And then next to that, I've just got an M4 cleaning kit. And now we're gonna get into what's inside. Your bottom compartment is going to have your sleep system. And I'm running the Midway USA. It's either a 3-piece or a 4-piece sleep system. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'll put a link for it. And this thing right here is great because even if I don't have a tent or time to set up a tent, I can pull this thing out, and it's got a waterproof bivvy on the outside, and I can just lay down under a tree, buckle it over my head, and, you know, no matter what the weather is, this is really all I need. And I've even got an extreme cold weather sleep system for sub-zero temperatures, but this right here did great last night, and it got down to about 6 degrees and I was fine. A nice sleep system is gonna be essential because if you go out in the woods in the snow in a Walmart sleeping bag, you're not gonna make it. You're gonna be hiking your ass back to the truck at 3 a.m., miserable, freezing. Your sleeping bag will probably be wet. It's just not fun. So invest in your sleep system, you know, if anything. You don't need a $400 Mystery Ranch, you know, rucksack. You can get a $50 Milsurp eBay special like this, and it'll serve you well and last a long time. And then you can invest some real money into quality sleep systems and stuff like that. Now for the top container. It's got this dual cinch opening, right? Open it up, and what I do, this is not a feature that like comes with the rucksacks, but I go get one of those waterproof bags. You can get them at Milsurp stores for like $5-10, and it just adds another layer of waterproofing on the stuff that I really want to keep dry. And then at the end of the day, whenever I'm, you know, getting into my tent, I can just take all my goodies out of this top compartment and toss it in my tent, and then put this on the outside of the tent in the alcove, and that way there's not a bunch of bulk with me in my sleeping quarters. So basically what I've gotten here is all the stuff that's gonna make sure that I'm not suffering, that I'm staying alive, so that I can keep doing what I'm doing. So one little thing, keep paracord, some 550 cord with me. That stuff comes in handy for all kinds of random crap. And then one of those emergency blankets. They're practically impossible to fold back up the way they come, so that's why this one looks so bulky. And one other thing I wanted to touch on was, you know, being worried about camouflage. A lot of guys are, you know, they've got their Cry Precision G3 dry fire pants and combat top, and like that's awesome if you're able to get dressed for the occasion. But otherwise, a lot of times you're going to be stuck with what's in your go bag, and I wouldn't go wasting a bunch of room, you know, stuffing camo into your bag. But what I do, if I'm in blue jeans and a jacket like this and I need to grab my bag, and let's say I don't want to be seen, I just run this redhead ghillie suit, and it's a slip over zip up one, and I can put it over whatever I'm wearing, and it actually does not have an IR signature. I checked it with night vision. I'll go ahead and put pictures on the screen, but this actually covers your IR signature and also visually helps camouflage you. So I'll throw this on real quick so you can see what it looks like. See, now I can camouflage a little bit easier. It's a super lightweight material, so it like scrunches down really nice. It's almost like a mesh kind of fabric. Kind of get a visual on it there. And you don't even have to take your boots off or anything. Slips right over your jacket. And I'm a big fan of this ghillie suit. I've had it for several years, and I just stuff it in the bottom of the ruck and keep it there in case I need it. Next up, we've got a backup pair of socks. Always got to keep a pair of extra socks in your rucksack. Keep 2 or 3 even. I usually just run 1 extra pair if I'm just doing one night, but these are definitely gonna help you stay mobile and keeping your feet dry, because if your feet get wet and cold, that's when you start having problems. I'm running these Cabela's Snow Runner 2.0s with the Vibram soles and the BOA laces. I love these things, man. They're super easy. You just click the thing out and then you can just slide your boot right off. The laces come loose and then you can torque it down exactly where you want it. And even if you got gloves, you know, you can work this mechanism, and you don't have to take your gloves off to do that, you know. So next up, we've got our shelter. That's gonna be a light fighter. Now, if you go Googling the price of these things, you're gonna have a heart attack because they're like 500 bucks. But I got mine for 150 on Facebook Marketplace. The only problem I've been able to find on it is this one little patch on the cover, not even on the tent itself. So they're out there. You can definitely score them. Go search military surplus websites, eBay, and Facebook Marketplace. Get you a solid shelter, something that's lightweight. And a couple others I like are the T-Cop and the Gear Top Bivy. Those are great shelters. I've used all of them. Definitely a fan of all of them. The Light Fighter is going to give me more headroom when I sit up, which I like. The T-Cop is going to give me more length, which I also like. So it's a give and take. The Light Fighter is going to be ridiculously lightweight though. Super lightweight compared to the T-Cop. And ounces or pounds when you're carrying them on a human body. So gonna run the Light Fighter on this ruck. Next up, I've got this little Climate Static 5 sleeping pad. It's got an R value of 1.3. You can get them at Walmart, and this thing is great. It makes a night and day difference if you're out rucking in the cold. Throwing one of these under your sleep system is going to be just a giant lifesaver. And it packs down super light. It's lightweight, low profile. You air it up like a balloon. If you really want to get a pump for it, you can, but I just air it up like a balloon and it does just fine. Doesn't take that much air to air them up. And it's just going to create that thermal dam between you and the ground, and that's really what you want. And this is just a random little sling bag that I've dedicated to being my kitchen. So let's go through what's in it. I've got this little pop-up stove. This thing comes in handy. It's a good way to just add some space between the fire and the bowl. You can use it in conjunction with burning logs. Stick it on the ground and dig a little hole and get you a little fire going to heat up some coffee. I've got the little fire tablets that you can light and sit under there. And so this thing comes in handy. Big fan of it. Cheap. Next, I've got some silverware. These little fold-up silverware gadgets are pretty sweet. I've probably got 30 different ways to eat food in the middle of the woods from different gimmicky little products I've ordered over the years. But this little fold-up fork, spoon, knife set is, I'm a fan of it. So those definitely come in handy, nice and low profile. And then I've got different options for food. I've got some freeze-dried apple dices and macaroni and cheese and freeze-dried potatoes and maple brown sugar oatmeal. And if you go getting MREs are a great way to have like an actual meal, and it doesn't suck as much because you've got like a little drink to go with it, a dessert, a main entree, a side. And so you're less miserable when you get those MRE kits. Those are great. It's gonna suck more, but you can carry more food without taking up as much space. So this bag of instant potatoes, I can feed like 6 guys with the whole bag, and we'll all be stuffed by the end of it. This is enough oatmeal to go around an entire campsite, you know? So this freeze-dried food is just a really good way to maximize the amount of food you're actually bringing and minimize the amount of packaging and little wrappers and little odds and ends. I mean, every part of an MRE is essential, but you're basically just taking each bit of an MRE and getting a whole bag of it, you know, and then you can get what you want out of it. And that's just way more efficient than stuffing like a whole meal that's in a whole box container, individual meals separate from each other. It's just, it's hard to pack that much food when you're doing it with MREs. Then in the other compartments, I've got other essentials. Down here, I've got some tactical toilet paper for tactical shits. Here in the middle, I've got some milk alternative stashed. That's a good way to get vitamins, and it goes good with the oatmeal, with the coffee. It also makes the potatoes taste better as well. And then up top, I've got waterproof matches, couple lighters. I've got this Blackbeard fire starter. This thing is sweet. These are great. You just slice off a little bit of it with your knife, and then it just lights right up, ignites really well. And then I've got a little fire starter puck if I'm wanting to cook dinner without sourcing any kind of wood or anything. But what I was running when I made the video were the little sterno fire in a can gizmos. I usually keep a couple of those in there. I used my last one for dinner and then for breakfast, making coffee. So this right here is really all you need to survive 1 to 3 nights in the middle of the woods in the middle of a blizzard. It's gonna suck, it's not gonna be comfortable the whole time, but you're not gonna die. And you're gonna remember exactly what our ancestors felt like when they had to do this stuff to settle new land and discover new territory. So now we're gonna pack it all up and get to rucking. And there you have it, good old rucksack. And one last piece of gear that I forgot to record are these Audi Gear gaiters. They basically just wrap around the top of your boots and go up halfway up your legs right below the knee. And it keeps snow from getting into your feet. Now doing this stuff when it's 8 degrees outside is gonna seem crazy to a lot of people. It's gonna be hard to find friends that wanna go do this stuff with you. What's up, dude? Dude, the weather's absolute crap out there. Let's go hit the woods. Nah, I can't today. I got a bunch of errands to run. Everything's closed out there. It's covered in ice. Well, I gotta spend time with my family, man. You know how it goes. We'll go after we put the kids to bed. Quit being a pansy. But it's chewy out there. What the hell just came out of your mouth? It's chewy and ucky and gross. Don't you post boogaloo memes on Facebook? I just want to train when the weather's nice and when I feel like it in the perfect conditions. Is that too much to ask? Aren't we supposed to be training for if the lights go out and Walmart's closed? Dude, I play so many first-person shooters and watch so many Netflix post-apocalyptic shows that I'm just gonna rise to the occasion. I do invite you to try to find a buddy to go out there with you, especially if you're like just getting into this stuff. Because it is dangerous at the end of the day. It's dangerous. The gun range is dangerous. Going out in the woods and rucking is dangerous. It's all dangerous. But the idea is to develop a skill so that it's less dangerous the better you get at it, right? And there's people out here that can't even wrap their head around developing these skills, because right now in this luxury society that our ancestors built for us, we have people who are employed by the government to handle this sort of thing for us. But I think it's stupid to bank on the idea that the employed individuals that working for the government are always going to want to keep you alive as much as you want to keep yourself alive, right? Because that's a really extreme thought to have. And I've had grown men say these words to me: why would I grow my own food or learn how to grow my own food when I can just go to the grocery store and buy it? And if that's your thought process, you've already wasted too much time on this video, right? If you can't even wrap your head around the concept of a grocery store being unavailable to you, you're just a product of your environment, my friend. So as long as your environment has a grocery store and all the lights are on and the weather's good and your house is standing, you're good, man. And so, like, if that's all you've ever experienced, you know, love it for you. I hope that that's all you ever experience in your entire life, right? But for those people who have been through some traumatic events like the Joplin tornado, it's a great example. People were without resources for a long time. And it doesn't take long for people to start dying, especially the elderly. So if you're an able-bodied man, you need to learn how to do this stuff, not just for your own sake, but like for protecting the innocent, right? Because that's kind of your job as an able-bodied man in the United States. And this stuff has very little to do with being tough or just toughing it out. It's about learning how to professionally manage your body temperature, professionally manage the amount of moisture content in your clothing, touching your body, in your sleep system, in your shelter, being able to cook food and source food. And we'll get into the bushcraft and stuff. You know, I love doing that stuff too. I'll go out through a weekend and just eat squirrels and birds the whole time. You know, that's a whole other skill that's super fun, and you don't even have to have as much gear with you because you're bushcrafting it, you know. So your shelter, you're building out there, and your food, you're hunting. So I'll do a video on that as well. I'm just getting excited thinking about it. But I'm gonna go ahead and cut to the rucking part, and you guys can see kind of what you can expect from rucking out in 6, 7, 8 degree weather. All right, it's 10 degrees out here in the Ozarks. We're getting ready to hit this patch of woods on some private property. Now, if the power goes out, bugging in is a luxury idea. If you're able to stay put, that is awesome. That's great for you. But unfortunately, our biggest threat is going to be our neighbors who are not prepared. So that means you need to be able to get mobile and be able to go long distances without stopping, and then efficiently set up camp, sleep overnight without being detected, and then wake up in the morning and keep moving. That's really the only goal here. Tonight we're gonna do about a mile-long trek and then set up camp and get to cooking dinner. All right, it's time to check back in with HQ. How's my baby girls? Mwah, mwah, mwah. Love you.
Bye.
Okay, I'll see you later. All good at HQ. We keep moving. All right, I found a pretty solid spot. It gets really low, and then it starts going up this little hill. And right up this hill at the base of these trees is where I'm gonna set up camp. That way, if it starts getting real rainy, I'm not at the bottom of this little bowl here, but I'm also way out of sight, and the bowl shape of this area will help cover any little noises I make. So the first thing I'm gonna do is do my best to try to get a nice dry square area. Ideally like a 7-foot by 4-foot square area that doesn't have snow on it, and hopefully I can kind of grade it to make it a little bit flat while I'm at it. Man, this is way easier with a camera flashlight on, I gotta say. Doing this crap in night vision isn't even easy. The year's 2035. Only people with a social score of 100 get to drive cars. Mine hit 50 the first day on Facebook. This is a typical trip to Walmart for me. So now we've got a 4x7-ish flat kind of area without snow on it. Let's start setting up some shelter. Tonight we're running the Light Fighter one-man tent. So let's set this thing up. And I really like the frame of these things. It seems like it'd be kind of complicated, but it actually just all pops out like that. And you basically just pick it up and it all snaps together like a big old spider. All right, we got our shelter set up. As you can see, it's kind of set up like a octagon. You've got these little alcoves that you stake in the ground, and that kind of makes you what I call the mud room, the front porch area. Kind of cleared some snow out of the way there. And then you've got a separate bug net that zips up right there. So now we're gonna set up our sleep system. I really like these alcoves on these Light Fighters. You got one in the front and then one in the back. And you can kind of sit all your gear outside of the tent, but still keep it out of the weather. You know, take your muddy shoes and pants off and sit them out there to dry overnight. And it just gives you a little bit of room to kind of get out of the weather, brush yourself off, and then get into the tent. Because the goal is to bring minimal amount of the outside to the inside with you. I know once we've been drilling all day or all night and then we get back to the tents, a lot of guys will just lay directly into their sleep system. And then they're fighting with little bits of cedar in their sleep all night. This stuff right here, make your neck itch all night long. So it's just nice to have a little alcove area where you can strip down, kind of dust off, and then get into your sleep system. So it's a M81 Woodland Bivy that goes over a 3-piece sleep system. So I've really liked it so far. I'm gonna go ahead and lay it out in here and then get some video of what it looks like when it's all put out. One other thing that I like to keep in my ruck that doesn't take up a lot of room and weighs next to nothing are these little Climate Static 5 sleeping pads. They've got a 1.3 R value. It's just gonna keep a thermal dam between you and the ground. And if you're a lanky guy like me, it helps with back pain. You know, I can't just go sleeping on rocks or I'll wake up sore as heck and it's just not a good time. So these things really help with that if you don't have time to make yourself a nice little sleeping pad. All right, see? Just blows up like a balloon. Gives you a nice padded layer to put between you and the ground. You know, this thing's covered in snow and all kinds of crap. You can just pull out all your gear, throw it in there with you, throw your water in there with you so it don't freeze. Pretty much just gotta snuggle your water bottle at night. And then you can keep the ruck on the, I like putting it in the back alcove. And that way it's nice and out of the way. Because this thing is bulky. You don't want it in the tent. And you don't really want it in the entryway of your shelter, because you could totally just trip over it if you had to move quick. So just some little things to think about. So we're in a big open clearing here. Easy to spot me right now. We go right over here to this tree line. Take some steps through some thickets. And this is where we're set up. All right, now this right here is the best way to get into your tent at the very end of the night. Turn around, you squat, and then you lean back. Now you kick off your boots and your jeans, and you tuck them in this alcove. So this thing, you got your stake down there. Now you've got like this outdoor area, boots and jeans. That way you're not getting any of this frozen mud. Look at that. I don't know if you can tell, but my knees are frozen. You don't want to bring any of that into your sleeping quarters, so leave them out here. So cold that a brand new lighter doesn't even work. It's perfectly dry, getting plenty of spark. Just has to do with the way the butane's reacting to the temperature. Luckily, I brought some waterproof survival matches, so that got our little stove going. All right, let's see what's on the menu. All right, in the sustainment pack, we got some cheese powder. We go with our macaroni down there. Got some potatoes. Got some apple crisps. I'm feeling some macaroni and cheese. See, this tastes like shit compared to everything else at the grocery store. But it's shelf stable for years and years and years. And when you train and eat this kind of crap, it kind of gives you something to run from, you know? Like in the first world, everyone's so accustomed to everything, you know, being full of sugar and flavor. And when you get something dull like this, it just kind of reminds you why we get up and work and carve our paths and build our communities. It's because life in its most raw state sucks, and there's no other way to put that. What we live in this country is an anomaly to mankind. And so it's times like these that you're grateful for what our ancestors built. And make sure you do your dishes before you go to bed, or you'll hate yourself in the morning. So right now I'm wearing some Hollister sweatpants, nothing fancy, Carhartt hoodie, and my multicam jacket, and I'm in the Midway Bivy 3-piece sleep system, and I'm totally warm. I'm not even like shivering and bundled up. I'm just hanging out and playing on my phone. So gonna get a good night's rest and get ready to pack up in the morning and keep moving. So it's 8 degrees outside, and the weather app says it feels like 1 degree, but I'm in here, just got a Carhartt hoodie on, and using my Redemption tactical jacket as a little extra layer of insulation. And I don't know, it feels like about 60 degrees in here. It's really not that dramatic to go out in this weather. The part that sucks is the obviously traveling through it and then setting up camp. But you're not like miserable while you're sleeping, you know. Get some good gear. Don't use Walmart sleeping bags, you know. Get some good military surplus gear. Is just great cheap stuff. But this is something that every able-bodied man in America should be able to do. I mean, you don't have to do it for fun every weekend, you know. Turning it into a hobby is pretty fun to me. But you've got to be capable of this stuff. Me and my little brother used to get off the school bus on Friday and go grab our pellet guns and our bags and go hit the woods. And we'd come back Monday morning before school, take a shower, and then go to school. And we just survived the whole weekend on squirrels and birds and any small woodland creature that moved, honestly. But this is what we were raised doing, you know, and a lot of young men in the Ozarks were raised doing the exact same thing. And as they get older, they get busy, and they kind of think that, you know, if they ever got to use those skills one day, it'll just come back to them. But I'll tell you right now, even between seasons, getting all my cold weather gear out and organized and you know, getting everything going, I'm rusty on some parts, you know, I'm noticing. So just like anything else, rucking and bushcraft and survival in the wilderness, it's a skill that you have to keep sharpened, just like gunfighting, just like martial arts, just like construction, just like any other skill out there. So I'm going to get some sleep, and then we'll get all geared up in the morning and go see how much it snows overnight, because it's still coming down out there. So hopefully I'm not completely buried. You know what's funny is that this isn't even the coldest rated sleep system that I own. I've got an extreme cold weather sleep system inside, but it's a lot more bulky. And that would be for probably a longer term, really cold weather stay in the woods. But yeah, this Midway USA 3-piece or 4-piece sleep system set, I'm digging it. You know, I used it all last year and the year before that. But the Milsurp extreme cold weather sleep system, it's just so bulky and adds more weight. I'm already at 37 pounds for this whole kit, so I'm trying to keep it as light as I can, even though it's already heavy. All right, it's about 5 a.m. and I got a good night's rest. Stayed nice and warm all night. Really wasn't bad at all. So we're gonna get packed up and keep making tracks. We got a good amount of snowfall last night, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw on the Audi Gear Gators, and that's gonna make sure the snow stays out of my shoes, keeps my feet dry, you know, stuff like that. Basic stuff matters. One thing that I did mess up, whenever you're unpacking and everything, my tent bag and stakes, I'm usually good about keeping them together and putting them in a spot where I know where they're at, but I should have tucked them under the tent in the corner, because when it snows, it buries stuff, you know, and you don't want to lose your gear under the snow. And so that was the one piece of gear. It's out there, I can still see it, you know, I didn't lose it, but if it snowed even heavier, you know, there's always a chance, and plus I'd have to dig through the snow to get to it. And little things like that just matter. Time to fire up the stove again and warm up my gloves here and get some coffee going. Got some freeze-dried apple dices for breakfast. Yummy. Shake it out like that. All right, we got the spot cleaned up. Gonna go hit the woods and do another mile, make it home before the girls wake up. One thing that these little rucks are good for is figuring out how your gear works together. You might have a sweet rucksack set up, So if it doesn't work with your belt or your chest rig, you know, is it really set up right? For me, I've just got the Agilite chest rig with a S-Tac placard, 6-pack dangler, tourniquet, Safariland holster, right? And it all works around my rucksack and fits comfortably. So if you plan on being able to go long distances and stay mobile, doing these little 1 mile in, 1 mile back rucks, they are great for figuring out what little issues you've got with your gear. And if you get to a point where, you know, your gear is failing you and it gets dangerous, because that's a reality of doing this. If your gear fails and you're in a soaking wet sleeping bag, don't tough it out and get hypothermia. One of the lamest ways to die is training. It's just a horrible way to go out. So doing these little 1 mile rucks, you know, if there is an emergency, you know, you can make it back, and hopefully you're fit enough to make it back a mile. Only you know what level of fitness you're at. And then you can get a bunch of buddies together and go do 10, 12 mile rucks. That's a lot of fun. And it's a lot safer when there's other guys with you.
Now, moving through this kind of weather with your firearms is a whole other factor. You'll notice how I don't have the lens cover on my aim point, and that's why it's got snow in it. But my Safariland holster, it's got a hood for my optic on my pistol. So little things like that really matter. I'm almost home, and I'm ready to enjoy that heating bill I pay for. Well, I made it home before any of my girls woke up, so I'm gonna go eat a giant breakfast and go sleep on a real bed and enjoy some real heat. So hopefully this encourages you to get out there and hit the woods and, you know, just get accustomed to living outside of your current living conditions, you know? It's not that extreme of an idea. Find some friends that are looking to do the same thing, and as you upgrade your gear, pass on your old gear to them. And that's what I've been doing, and I get, you know, 5, 6 guys to go out, and it's an absolute blast. You go out on some private range, bring a few steel gongs, and hook them up to trees, and just, you know, go have a range day while you're at it. So it's a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to subscribe and like and share it, and I'll see you next time.